way of living. Today I'm going to be working on canning some beans, but I have a lot of these kind of videos out, so I'm going to share with you a little bit of different things that I have that is helping me, and I'm just really learning all about the old-fashioned way. So canning beans, I'm going to be canning some garbanzo beans, which would be chickpeas, but I am doing the no-soak method. That is my favorite way. You know, I am starting to realize some things. I do believe in pressure canning everything, and we have the pressure canners, and that's just something I really enjoy doing. But you know, back in World War II, you know, back in the Great Depression, people did things maybe that we would not realize you can do. And I think that it's all common sense. But what I'm trying to say is that I was learning a lot of things about home canning, and while pressure canning, I will adhere to the USDA rules to a certain sense. I do realize that maybe there is another way of doing things, and it's just a learning process. But with that being said, we are pressure canning these, but they're not soaking. And so the USDA would say, oh, this is bad. You have to soak your beans first. I don't follow that, because you don't always, you have to do a lot of your own studying and do a lot of your own research. And what the USDA is just saying is they never tried it this way. And you must understand the USDA was back many years ago, and that was established over World War II, and they had a lot of rules and regulations. With that being said, let's get working on the beans. And then I'm going to show you a book that I bought.
For those of you who are wondering how I do can the beans, I use a pressure canner, and I add 1/2 cup of any dried bean to 1 pint jar. Now I use wide mouth pint jars. It's easier to get the beans out of the jar when they're canned. Then I add hot water to the jars, and I add a pinch of salt. That's it. Sometimes I will add dry onions to it. Sometimes I add some tomatoes to it. But it's simple and easy as that. It is the simplest pressure canning recipe. This is not USDA regulated because we are using the dried beans that are not soaked. But I have been canning my beans, let's see now, 37 years this way, and I've never had a single issue. So what we're doing is filling it up with hot water. We're going to debubble it, put the lid on it, and then we will can it though for a full 90 minutes. Excuse me, we will can it for a full 75 minutes. If you want to have it in quarts, you're going to add 1 cup of beans to the quart jar, fill it with water, and then you can it 90 minutes. But because we're doing pints, it's 75 minutes. It's the same as canning meat. Of course, when I can meat though, I always saute the ground beef. I never can meat raw, nor do I can chicken raw. That is just my preference, because I like the look in the jars better when it's not raw. I know, it sounds silly, but like you all tell me, Tessie, in your kitchen, it's the way you do it.
So I was reading my Grandma Fanny's diary, and imagine me, I was horrified to find out that Grandma Fanny talked about home canning green beans and let them boil on the open fire for 3 hours in the jars instead of pressure canning. And I thought to myself, oh wow, my own Grandma Fanny did water bath canning green beans, you know. So I think the takeaway from it is, if you have pressure canners, and we're living in the modern time, to use your pressure canners. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to recommend anything else. But it's a learning experience for me, and to realize that, there are people out there for centuries. There are people out there have been doing things so different, especially reading with the home bulletins. This on eBay. Every December, I have a little bit of Christmas money that I like to buy things that I think that I'm going to use. And if it's antique or it's vintage, I'm going to use it. I don't ever get rid of antique and vintage things. And I do have a lot, and it's really nice to be able to pull out a book that was written in 1929 and take all of that knowledge and information. But this is the book I got. And some of the books are really cheap, and then some of them are really expensive. In fact, there was a book that I bought 12 years ago that's worth $500 now. So I have that in my china cupboard, because that book, we're going to save that. But this one here I got for under $10, and it's the Budget Cookbook. And this one was written in 1935. And the thing I like about it is, the books are cheaper if they're not in great condition, and I don't need them to be in perfect condition. In fact, if they are in bad condition, they're a lot cheaper, and that's what I like. I just want the information. I don't really need it for the worth of it, But it's going to be great, because we're going to be working in this book. We work in a lot of books, and this one is about not wasting anything. So back in 1935, this would have been written, and this would have been extremely important, the food budget. So that is the book that I got. All right, I'm going to go finish canning, and then I will show you what we do next.
Many times when I'm working in the kitchen, my 1963 double wide, I think about all of the people that lived here before me. Now, there has never been any children that lived in this home. The original couple that had put in the land in 1963 was an older couple, and he was retired in the Air Force. And so they lived here until they moved to Florida. That was, of course, many years ago. And then an older gentleman lived here with his wife. His wife passed away in the mobile home, and then many years later he passed away in the mobile home, and then it sat empty for a long time, and it was starting to become dilapidated. It had a lot of work that needed to be done, and that's where we come in, and we are bringing it back to life. The original couple who bought the place had it beautiful, and they would have loved to seen it today. And then the elderly gentleman, he kind of let things go, but then he also was very ill too towards the end of his life. So all our homes, no matter if we live in a mobile home, a trailer, we live in a mansion, all of our homes have a story to tell. Everything you see in this kitchen is original, except for the stove. Original paint system, original the way the cupboards are. Now the floor, of course, we did change. We put new linoleum in. That was 14 years ago. But the little bar there is original. The wood is original. The structure is original. The lighting is original. And it is my 1963 mobile home. Now I will add, this was a very high-end mobile home. Back in 1963, it had a cathedral ceiling, which was something very new in that day. So I do believe that it kept its shape because it was a high-end. Also, nobody was very hard on the mobile home. And also, we live in a little bit of a dew valley, and that kept it preserved from the wind. Thank you so much for watching Homestead Tessie in the Day in the Life, Mobile Home Living. I can't wait to share with you again tomorrow what I'm doing and just what's it like in my neck of the woods here in Dew Valley. Take care and God bless, and we'll see you again.